Happy podcast day, Falcon Paladin.
Thank you, Somicron. Gotta say, it's a good day for a podcast.
Yeah, it's perfectly pleasant out. It's nice and sunny. Not a single
Well,
cloud in the sky.
wonderful. I do like some clouds, but many clouds are bad, so yes.
I like some clouds. They're just not here at the moment. The clouds I like are not here at the moment. They've
Right, right.
they've got the day off.
Reasonable.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. So things are good in podcast land. Man, what do we have to talk about this week? I don't think there's any
GSL.
StarCraft 2.
There is.
Oh no, we did do a little bit of GSL. That's right. I always,
Yes.
whenever we do the podcast a little bit later, it throws me.
I was just looking at the bracket and being like, I know I watched some of these games, but it was it was like a week ago at this point. I don't remember any of them.
That's fair. I've cast a couple of them, so that helps
Yeah, there we
for
go.
me.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we did Group A of Group Stage 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we did not pick. We did not put a lot of respect in Kia's name.
We
But
did not. We definitely should have.
yeah, I feel like we make that mistake. I feel like I make that mistake regularly, being like, well, Kia's good, but he's not really like hanging with the big dogs good. No. And then he's coming out 2-0 and getting out first in his group.
Yeah, really not bad at all. He ends up 2-1ing Beyond and 2-0ing Maru. So, I mean, if nothing else, his TVT is on point.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two of the better Terran players, if not the two best Terran players in the world right now. And Kira's just like, no, we got this.
Yeah, we got this.
We got this.
We got this. Yeah. I mean, Beyond going. Like, did he took 2 maps off. Well, 1 map off Kyo, 1 map off Zur.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like that's not a good showing for Beyond.
No, definitely not.
Nah.
And I mean,
feel
in one of the games, it's one of those games where the Zerg players like going Broodlords and Ultras, and I'm like, oh no,
Ghosts.
why?
And
And then he won anyway, and I was like, Sue, you madman.
it can work.
It was tight. It was definitely tight. Like he was
Okay.
running out of cash at the end there. It was like, if this attack doesn't work, I am screwed. But he made really great use of fungals. He hit some crucial fungals, some great blinding cloud, parasitic bomb. Like he was spellcasting like a madman.
Okay.
And he won with like 100 supply, and like not enough money to remax either. So it was kind of like, all right, that was tough. You made it probably tougher on yourself than you needed to, but you took down Beyond. Good job, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a pretty fun little thing there. And then, I mean, it's funny in the broadcast because it's state and it's tasteless, and they both notice this. They're like, so Sue beats Beyond, and it's like, you'd think he'd be happy, but he knows he has to go against Maru next, and Maru owns him. Like,
Right.
Sue does not beat Maru.
Well, he gets a map off him. What do you do
Yeah.
there? What do you do there?
Well, that's true. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. What did he do on Oceanborn there to win? I want to say it was one of those games where Sue, again, he loves his roaches in this matchup. I swear he
Right.
makes roaches against Terran more than anybody other Zerg player in the world right now. But I think he just managed to get some really good engagements there with Roach Ravager early enough before Beyond started getting tanks out and ghosts and like liberators and things.
Okay.
And it's tough. It is tough to take somebody down like Maru, with just Roach Ravager before you get to the late game, but he managed to pull it off just with some good engagements, some good surrounds.
Right.
Helped too. So, yeah, I mean, it's just I really like to hate on Roach Ravager, obviously, and I have for a long time. But then Sue wins a game like that, and I'm like, okay, so that's why we do this because you can take a map off of Maru sometimes with it.
Right.
It's not 100% terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching a Maynard stream from like years ago because he hasn't played StarCraft in forever, but he was just really upset that like the Zergs can put down a single tech structure, the Roach Warren, and Terrans have to respect it. And if they respect it, it's fine, but it means you're doing, tanks and stuff to stop roaches, and you're not doing whatever it is you were planning to do. Because you can just swell up with a shit ton of roaches and hit a crisp timing and win. It's not impossible.
Yeah, I mean,
It has
Marauders
some
are
power.
really good too. Marauders
also
just destroy the roaches.
Not the Ravages.
Not the Ravagers, but Ravagers are squishy enough that if Marines get on top of them, they die. So it's like
Yeah.
you have enough Marauders, the Roaches die. There's the meat shield gone, and then your
Right.
Marines come in, and the Ravagers are like crap. I've seen it enough. I've seen it enough. But you do have to make Marauders or tanks there. Yes, definitely. So
Yes.
100%. But I mean, I don't know. Like every race has to do that. Like Zerg has to make, has to make Lings because Reapers are open. Are we mad about that? I don't think so. Like it's just how it is,
Hey, look, I didn't say I was mad. I said someone was mad 2 years ago.
Right. I'm sure somebody is still mad about it, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Non-zero chance.
Non-zero chance. Anywho, then so we're looking at Kira and Morrow making it through. Beyond disappointing, Sue.
Yeah. So.
You just got crushed by Morrow, and it's like, not a lot of shame in that. Unless you're Cyril, then there's a lot of shame in that.
There's a bit of shame in that, yeah. So group B
next group
is tomorrow night, actually. Hero Creator, DRG, Dark. And I mean, there isn't a world in which Dark doesn't get out of this group. It really comes down to, in my opinion, Hero or Creator, and probably Hero. Like, this is just... I don't see DRG getting through at all.
No, I don't either. Nothing DRG has done recently makes me feel like, he's the guy here.
We said the same thing about Cure, though. We said the same thing about Cure.
Yeah. But I mean, Cure at least has a... he's got a GSL in the last couple years anyway.
What? DRG's won something, hasn't he? Recently, sort of?
No. A premier tournament?
Something. No.
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 Well, he's got a 6th place in GSL. A 5th place in GSL. It's even better. No, never mind.
Okay.
I feel like he'd won something.
No, not that I'm aware of, but I might have missed something for sure.
I must be making it up.
I like him.
There it is. GSL Season 1, 2014. He came somewhere between 1st and 12th because Liquipedia is broken.
Right. It's one of those things where they're like, he finished somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably.
We know he played, but we don't know where he placed. That's great. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
And again, you get further back, it doesn't really matter. I'm looking at more recent results.
Oh, yeah. No. I was not seriously considering a GSL from 10 years ago to be of anything of reflecting on which current skill.
Right.
Oh man, I am looking at the rest of this GSL because it does actually list like who won Code S properly, and it was Zest versus Sue in the finals.
Ooh, is that one of the second place Sue finishes?
Yeah.
Totes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Of course it is.
Do you know who Sue beat to get to the finals there though?
No.
He beat Life.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
It's God,
shenanigans.
love to go back and watch that 7-game ZVZ.
Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Not into
that. No, I'm good. I'll pass.
Yeah, 100%.
But we've officially narrowed it down to 2014 is when Protoss were winning things, so that's nice.
Not wrong. Not wrong at all. That is that era where everyone's like, oh, Protoss, they're overpowered, they suck. Hey, so turns out I forgot about a thing that I need to do tonight. So could we just split this into two, and the StarCraft portion is the first part, and then the Warhammer the second part, and we can do this in like an hour-ish?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Sorry, totally forgot that there was a family thing that's going on because we moved it, and then it's a new thing, and anyway, it wasn't in my brain. My kids just came, and they're like, so there's this thing. All right, crap, okay.
All
right, so little tiny bite-sized StarCraft 2 portion. Yeah, intermission. We'll be back with all the Warhammer you can handle later. Okay, great. All right, thanks everyone. Bye. We'll be back.
Bye. 3 hours later.
And we're back.
Hey, we did it. We're back.
Now with
Through the magic of editing, no time
part
between
2.
part 1 and part 2. We did it.
What I might do for fun is I'll intersperse a clip of that clip from SpongeBob that's like 12 hours later.
13 years later.
Yes, that's.
Yeah.
Whew.
Anyway, Warhammer time.
Warhammer, because we're done with the StarCraft.
We are.
Now is Warhammer. Very serious
is.
business of Warhammer.
The seriousness. Yeah. So we read Unremembered Empire
By Dan
This
Abnett.
by our favorite, Dan Abnett, who is great.
He's pretty great.
Yeah. And this book is like, what if we put like 5 Primarchs in the same place at the same time? That would be fun.
What if we did a superhero movie?
Yeah, it's a superhero team-up movie, and we've got 2 Perpetuals here too. It's crazy busy.
You actually have 3, technically. Vulcan, John
There's some there's some overlap here, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was fun. I liked it.
I liked it. I don't know. It feels like a very not Heresy book where it's just like, here's the thing that's happening in the Heresy, but like, is it really about killing the Emperor?
No,
Is it about?
it's really not.
Is
Like Horus is mentioned a bunch of times.
He gets mentioned because he wants an empire apparently, and that's like what he's doing with his dad, I guess. But like, Gulliman's just trying to like hold on to what he can, and the Lion's like, yeah, but you're just usurping by another name. That's usurping. That's heresy, but with extra steps.
Yeah, sort of. He has this. I mean, to be fair, Gilliman has the same concerns, right? He's like, I don't want to usurp my father's empire, and if I take steps to consolidate the things that we have and appoint myself regent of this conglomeration of planets and fleets and
The
Primarchs and
Imperium
stuff.
Secundus. He doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm worried that, I will be usurping my father's empire, and that maybe even worse, people will see it that way.
And
then I will lose the support of the people, and then that never goes well, right?
Right. And he even like at the near to the end of the book, they like, oh, there's no remembrances around. What's going on? And Gulliman's like, yeah, because I don't want the history to be misinterpreted in 1,000 years,
Right.
Because which we've read the book where there is a book like somebody remembers it somewhere in 10,000 years, so that's neat.
Exactly.
So
it's a fight you're not going to win, Gilliman. I'm sorry. History is going to be history. It's going to treat you unfairly for the most part. Deal with it. Yeah.
So basically, the meat and bones of this book is the Lion finds Gulliman on Macragge and is like, well, I don't know if I can trust you. And he's like, well, you should be more open, brother. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I can trust you. And then Conrad gets loose and kills a bunch of people, and that's the book.
Right. And, okay, 2 things I want to mention here.
Yeah.
So one is they have a nice conversation, the Lion and Gulliman. And Gulliman's like, okay, look, I'm not saying that the Emperor is dead and that Terra's been overrun. It's just, it's a possibility.
Right.
Right? We have no idea what's going on past this veil that's shown up in the galaxy. Terra could be fine. The Emperor still could be living, but we don't know. It's like, I'm not saying that everybody's dead on the other side of it, but we just need to consolidate our forces. And Lion's like, oh, okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah.
I did, like, there are some really nice scenes with them talking. Like, there's, I think, at least 4 scenes that are just the Lion and Gulliman talking. And each of them are pretty swell because something's been revealed or someone's done something. Like, in the very first one, the Lion gives Gulliman a hug, and he's like, oh, you're a hugger. I didn't know that about you. Which I thought was funny. And then it's immediately followed up by Space Wolves and the Lion being like, hey, bro, we've got beef from ages ago. Send us a champion to fight. Like, we have to. It's a matter of protocol. And the Lion's like, no, I got this.
And the wolf's like, no, seriously, choose a champion. He's like, no.
Really puts his foot down. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is the lion's like, all right, cool. And Gilliman's very much like, I don't want this job. Like, I don't want to be regent. I don't want to be emperor. That sucks. If there was like anybody else around who could do it, I would give it to them. And he's like, oh, thank goodness the lion showed up. It's like, maybe somebody else will show up later. I don't know. Right. So I think that helps too. I think like he's very sincerely like, I do not want this job at all.
Right.
Like, I'm okay being, behind the scenes and middle managing my way through this whole dealio. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he offers the position of regent to the lion, and I think the lion is equally as uncomfortable with that position for himself.
Yes.
And I think they do officially adopt, like titles, where Sanguinius, who shows up at the end of the book, having just come from Cygnus Prime, is like he's Imperial Regent. He gets coronated. Gulliman takes like the chief administrator, like that's literally his title. Like he's just, I'm the guy that deals with the paperwork. I'm here to plan everything you say, Sanguinius. And the lion is like the Lord Protector. Lord Protector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
In charge of all the armies.
Right.
So they eventually are able to like settle into some semblance of like equilibrium and understanding, and like, okay, this makes sense. I don't fully like it, but we gotta deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I feel like that's like this. The rest of the book is still John Grammaticus and Vulcan and Conrad doing stuff, but all of that just feels like stuff that's happening. It doesn't feel important, and the Golem and Sanguinius the Lion stuff also feels like it's just setting up for the next book. Like, what's this going to look like? Like, why is this really important that they like? I get that it's important that they hold on, but what does that mean long term for this galactic war?
Yeah. Because, like, we, as 40k readers, know that Terra has not been destroyed and that the Emperor has not been...
No.
Whatever you can do to the Emperor.
You can kill the Emperor. He's a man.
I mean,
He's
sure.
just a man.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Totally.
Totally just a man. I will say it is kind of neat to have a word bearer who is still kind of like believes the Emperor is a god instead, and is like, well, we still would definitely right to rebel, but I just need to save the Legion so they can go back to worshipping the Emperor, maybe. I don't really get what he intended to do, or how he intended killing Lorgar to make that happen.
Yeah. It was tough. He's in a really tough position, and he knows it, right? Because he's like, I'm a traitor to all of the loyal Primarchs and the Emperor. Now I'm a traitor to my own people, the Word Bearers, and it's just like this in the no man's land, and he thinks he can totally, like, save it. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I appreciate your beliefs here, but yo.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems a bit unlikely. Just gonna throw it out there. Even like killing Lorgar, I can't imagine would make the rest of them be like, oh, we should reevaluate the things he said and told us and like his word,
Right. Because then he just becomes a martyr.
Right. And like they're already warp infested bastards,
Yes.
There's no fixing
Which
that.
is part of the reason he's freaking out. He's like, all my buddies are warp-infested bastards now.
Sure.
Like, this isn't cool. I don't like this even a little bit.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah. And to the point that he has to kill 2 of his brothers. Like, to complete his mission. Because they're so far beyond what they used to be. And, like, they just want to kill for no reason. And he's like, this is not
who we are.
Not the principles I was brought up with. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a tough thing.
How did you...
Yeah, so it's Grammaticus and Damon, right?
Damon Pratanus, which
Yeah.
he shows up in like what was the last like word bearer book that we had? Because he's the guy that goes to the Blessed Lady when she gets reborn from Erebus, and she's maybe a perpetual.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, we brought you back, but they couldn't control it. They brought you back forever." That's Damon Britannis, and I'll be honest,
Right.
when he was pretending to be someone else, and he's like, "My name is Britannis," I was like, "God, that's a little on the nose."
There's a lot of on the nose in Warhammer, man.
There is.
Welcome.
It's a very big nose. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I was, I didn't mind the things he did in this book, but I didn't like his monologue, or his like soliloquy or whatever, where he's like describing who he is, and he notes that he had to kill a good man in Memphis, which is a reference to Martin Luther King Jr. Right?
Yeah.
Do we need like that assassin to be a character in Warhammer? Do we need that? Is that a thing we needed to have on his resume?
No, probably not.
I just don't get why it's there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like maybe Dan Abnett dropped the ball a little bit when writing that character's backstory. It's like you want to make someone who's been around for 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years interesting. Yeah. He should pop up somewhere in history. I don't know if that's the right one to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he does mention he was involved in World War One. He mentions a war that he's in.
Yeah. I think he mentions World War One as well.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like to someone who's lived that long, it's weird that all of the notable things that he thinks about are in our memory.
Right. Because we're the audience.
Yeah, I get that, but like just invent some future war that he was in. Like that's just as cool.
Right.
Do it.
Just mention it.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Tell us his thoughts about the cybernetic revolt when the Men of Iron betrayed the humans in the age of technology.
Yeah, there you go.
Just as good. Speaking of mentioning, like Dan mentions things that are like hidden from the audience all the time. In this, Gulliman's like, "Hey, I've made a council chamber for all our brothers and our dad. There's 21 seats. Actually, there'd be 22. Mm-hmm. He probably, no, it's probably 21. He probably doesn't know. Gulliman doesn't seem like the kind of guy who worked out that there were 2 Primarchs for the Alpha Legion.
Right.
So he's like,
right.
And the Lion's like, "Oh, even for our lost brothers," and he's like, "Yeah, even for them. I wish they were here."
Right.
And it's like, okay, so you're happy to tell us things that don't exist in the story or in the world, right? But like, no, right. You gotta shoehorn in these little historical references. I don't know, a little didn't vibe with me. It didn't pass the vibe check this time around.
That's fair.
Yeah.
No, that's entirely fair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and 2, Damon's interesting because he's just like the most murdery of the perpetuals that we've met so far. Like Grammaticus still seems to kind of maintain a level of humanity here. He's not just like kill for killing's sake.
Yeah, I mean,
and Ollie too. He's like old man, retired. He's like, I'll kill stuff, but like
I just want to be
it just to do it.
I just want to be a farmer. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And Damon.
And then Damon's like, this is the greatest. I'm going to open fire on everybody I possibly can.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
going to kill some of these guards for no reason.
I'm an assassin. Killing's what I do.
Yeah.
And like, he's one of the few people in the universe who can claim they killed a Primarch, technically. Like, he blew a Vulcan's head a couple times.
That's true.
Yeah. But
yeah,
Vulcan just got back up. Poor Vulcan. He's been through so much.
Well, yeah. And here's what I don't get. He spends, I don't know, an eternity on Kurz's ship, being tortured and murdered and tortured and murdered and tortured and murdered, and psychologically and physically, like all these different ways. And at the end of Vulcan Lives, he's good. He's mentally okay.
He's
like he's worn down, and he's like, but like he's got his wits about him. He figures out how to teleport off the ship. Like he insults Conrad. Like he's there. But then he gets run through the atmosphere of a planet, and now he's crazy. Like, what the hell? What happened?
So I think, Vulcan, people in stressful situations might have a worse time about it afterwards. It's called PTSD. It happens. And the P in PTSD is post, which makes sense. He also, that teleportation we learnt in this book, took him a year to get to Macragge, right? Imagine a year in the warp, and then he burnt to death falling through the atmosphere.
Yeah. All right, that's fair.
You know, he, there are times where people talk to him, and like John Romanticus talks to him, and he's like, there are times where the book portrays it as like he understands, he's just not listening, right? And so I wonder how much of it is like he just doesn't. He wakes up in a strange place. As far as he knows, it's another trick by Conrad, and
Right.
he's just like, I'm not having it. I'm just screaming because my skin is slowly healing, you know, and I
Yep.
can't talk. I don't have a tongue yet, you know. He's messed up, but I don't know that he was like permanently insane.
I don't know.
And I'm
Grammaticus can only relate to him on a base level of like, yeah, it sure sucks dying and being resurrected over and over. I understand.
yeah.
And Vulcan's like, someone understands on this like primal level. That's all they get through to him with.
Right, and I guess like John Grammaticus gets a cheat because he's a telepath. He can like insert
Mm-hmm.
the exact meanings of what he's trying to convey into his mind better than even with
Right.
just words. But like when Vulcan breaks out of the Medicae, he goes to the armory and is like, "Sweet, grabbing a mace." He's not like on a rampage. He's like, "I know Conrad is this way. I need a weapon," you know.
Right. Right. He's not entirely scrambled.
Right.
Correct. He does know he wants to kill Conrad. Mm-hmm. And he knows it's going to be hard to do with his bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's level of logic and processing going on.
Yeah.
That's true.
True. It's honestly more thought than the Lion put into docking his ship with Conrad on it, just in, like, not mentioning it.
At McCrag.
Yeah.
Like this one place in the entire galaxy that's like spared from all this garbage that's going on, and he's like, "Yeah, I thought I'd get a handle on this Conrad Kurz problem a lot earlier than I did. Couldn't pull it off. For some reason, I'm hunting Conrad Kurz with my comms open and able to be very loud. For some reason,
Right.
so that when I'm sneaking up on him to finally take him down, someone can go." Hey, yo, and be loud about it. And then Conrad's like, oh, yes, I'm being ambushed. I was like, why? Why is this hard doing this?
Well,
Because we needed Conrad Curse to not be caught, because we needed him to get to the planet.
right. It's the same reason why it's like, well, the Lion's got his entire fleet here, and he knows Conrad's only on his ship. Why didn't he ready the drop pod assault on the other ships? Why did he use his? Why couldn't he park his one slightly further away so nothing like that could happen?
Yeah, or like have everyone watching the exterior of the ship, and like if any of the hatches pop open, just like blast it into orbit. That would be nice. We could do that. Or the people inside the ship, if they get a message that the part of the ship Conrad is in, an airlock opens to the outside, do not engage.
Yeah.
We know what that is. He's already killed a bunch of us.
Honestly, just start opening the airlocks in general. Like, suffocate him. If he's in the bowels of your ship, and you're finally coming out of the warp, because that's the deal. The Lion spent 16 weeks in the warp hunting Conrad, and it's like, okay, I can't open the ship to the warp. That would be awful. Once you get out of the warp, just flush him out. Just open all of the air seals, take away his air while he's in there. He can't hold his breath forever. He can hold it for a while, but not forever.
That's a question. We've seen Primarchs multiple times do open space combat without helmets or suits.
It's not like ours, though.
Yeah. It's worth a shot. Yeah.
Who
knows?
I am once again reminded of the scene in Infinite and the Divine where Orican is like, we're being boarded by orcs. Do orcs breathe? And Trey's in the Infinite's like, they have lungs.
Yeah.
And it's like, vent the oxygen just in case, you know?
Right. Give it a try.
Give it a try. It's better than
Yeah.
nothing.
But again, the story needed Kurz to make it to surface and cause all sorts of problems and be exciting.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Oh, also in this book, they find some old Xenos tech that's like,
Oh,
it's a new beacon and it does teleportation and it's like really cool.
the Pharaoh speaking of something. It's what it's called. It's on Sotha, the planet, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it's something. It's not quite a beacon. It's more like a spotlight, is the way it seems, because they seem to be lighting up Macragge, but it's not on Macragge. Whereas
Right.
the Astronomicon is a lighthouse. It's on Terra. It shows you where Terra is.
Right.
And it works by empathic fields, which just means it responds to what you want rather than what you need it to do explicitly. But if you have enough wish power, if you believe in the power of friendship, you can be pulled through to it when it's projecting like a hologram.
You are not wrong. It is very power of friendship and belief.
Like Gulliman is humanized by the fact that his mother is still alive in this book, and he's like, oh, I need to make sure she's okay, and that's how he steps back. And then he's like, but Lion, brother, dearest, I need you too. Give me your hand, and I'll pull you through as well. And it's like, oh, they're like a family for once.
They are
in
like a
16
family.
books.
Yeah, brothers and all sorts of great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So Conrad Kurz, who is some kind of magical dude, like he's simultaneously like murdering space marines and exploding people, and can like set 15 detonators in a church and lure both the Lion and Gilliman in there and explode it and escape. And it's like, all right, freaking Conrad Kurtz's wish fulfillment at this point. Like he's in the shadows. He can come in and out of shadows.
who's wishing to be Conrad fucking Kurz?
It's just wish fulfillment, power fantasy stuff. Like Conrad Kurz can do whatever the hell he wants because he's cool and edgy and dark. And it's like, I'm so tired of him. I'm so tired of him whining about, I want to die. I wish someone would kill me. All of my visions are torturous. But I'm going to kill all these innocents, and it's really fun, and it's the best, and I can escape everything. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And he escapes at the end of this thing, too.
It's true.
I was like, oh, good. He got dragged to the warp by some demon. It's like, oh, no, he escaped from that? Are you kidding me? This guy's the worst.
And here's the thing, he doesn't even go far. He like eventually gets out of the warp. He like kills the demon or whatever, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm on the mountains. I can see Macragge City. It's over there. I'll walk there. It's a week away.
Right. He spends some time in the warp, though, fighting this thing. What does it say?
You'll have to double check it.
Yeah, because I remember being like, holy crap. That was a while, man. I almost feel sorry for you. But no, I do not, actually. Because you're Conrad Kurz and you're the worst. Yeah. Oh, nope. At the end of it, Sanguinius shows up. Here we go. He says... Oh, no. This is when he gets... When Damon throws the demon in a bottle at him.
Right, he throws his Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting interaction with the demon, because he shows up on the crag, and the demon's been following him. And he's like, I know your name. And he's like, all right, cool. Come kill me then. Like, sweet. And he's like, that's not my real name. Ha ha. And I'm like, how did the demon get that wrong?
Why did the demon then give out his true name? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
if I have your name, I can compel you to do stuff. I'm about to die because you know my name. Wink. And then it's like, why didn't you tell me your name? And it's like, why would you ever answer? He could then immediately control you.
Because demons are dumb sometimes.
That's
I guess
that's fair. Yeah.
that's the only reason.
Uh,
Come on. Is it the very end?
it's like the very end of the book. Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah, he doesn't say. The combat had been far too long and far too grueling. How many days, how many weeks had it lasted in that no place, the no time wasteland of the Immaterium? So he says could be days, could be weeks, but it was, I mean,
We don't know.
a decent chunk of time. It wasn't like 4 hours, right?
Right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's the whole thing about Gilliman has our word bearer buddy in jail, Narek,
Yeah.
and is like torture interrogating him constantly.
Yeah, he's
And
sending his psyker in and is like, yeah, he seems to be telling the truth. But, like...
he never changes his story. He's consistent with it. None of the details are different. And Gilliman is just kind of like, I don't care. Like,
He's a word bearer. Fuck him.
yeah, he is.
That's what Gilliman's like at this point.
Pretty much. He says, yeah, come back tomorrow, ask him the same questions, keep doing that every day until we have the truth. And then, Lord, and then, said Gilliman, I will order his execution as a traitor and a heretic.
Which is fascinating because he's also working with Dantiok, who is an Iron Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Who is...
So he has this concept of individual space marines cannot be heretical, even if their entire group is heretical. Yeah.
Yeah. But
he's like not down with Narek. Although I don't know.
he's not down with word bearers.
Yeah. But he's like, if we can get the truth out of him, I'll kill him. But like the only way you're getting a different story out of Narek is if like you torture him to the point where he just says anything you want him to say, right?
Right. Yeah.
And like they're smart enough to know that's how that works.
I mean, you'd think so, but like, Torch is pretty grimdark, so everyone's got to be down to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
anyhow.
So, I mean, I think where this book is probably most interesting is if you've also read Dark Imperium, which we have, and Gulliman comes back from being dead for 10,000 years, and you know what he does when he comes back? Names himself Regent.
Right.
So, I mean, it is different. He goes and has a chat with his dad on the throne, and his dad tells him to do it. So he's a little more okay with it, but, you know, I don't know. It makes him more interesting in 40k than it does right now in 30k, I think.
Oh, it's interesting.
Finally being forced into that position and being like, look, I'm happy to lead armies, but now I'm also, like, leading the Imperium as well. I didn't really want this then. I probably still don't want it now, but there is no one else. There are no other Primarchs that he knows of that he can do this on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which...
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, doubly fun is the next Primarch who came back is the Lion, who's gonna like find out all the same shit and be like, again, Rabute, really?
Yeah, and it's gonna come down to I didn't want to, but Dad told me to.
Right.
And like, do you have proof? No.
You can
You want to go talk to him? You go talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is Avenging Sun, which I'm reading right now, talks about Messianus. What's his name? The Space Marine who's with Gilliman.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember his name. I don't think he hangs around for the rest of the books in that series. Like, he's like... Gilliman kind of like picks a Space Marine and trains them up for a little bit and gives them a command role and then leaves them.
Yep.
So I don't remember his name. I think Messianus sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Anyway, so he's like, I was there when Gilliman went to see his dad, and like he went through this gate that was miles away from where the Emperor actually is, and like standing there, I got blasted with like crazy Emperor psychic energy, and it was terrible and painful and powerful. And then he's like, and then Gilliman spent like a long time in there, like days in there.
Yeah.
And we were like, hey, Custodes, can we go check on our guy? And they're like, nope. All right, custodians, you guys are in charge.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Gilliman comes out and he looks haggard. Messiana says he looks drained and haunted,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was not a good time in there.
Bad time for
So
everyone.
it's like, yeah, but Gilliman comes out and does what his dad tells him to do, despite it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, so in the Dark Imperium books, he's definitely coming out, and you get more of his perspective on that. Where not only has he now been like forced into a role he didn't want 10,000 years ago, but is resigned to now because his dad's like, yeah, take it, do it. But
Yeah.
he's also like knows his dad isn't even remotely put together anymore. That like holding himself together into any kind of semblance of a personality is extreme effort for him. And he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
able to hold back all the thoughts that he had that normally he would not say. Like, you're not Rebute, my son, you're my 13th tool, and I've just found you again, you know? And he's working with the knowledge that
Yeah.
the Emperor maybe doesn't love all his sons. Or any of them.
Right.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot weighing on his mind in that minute, I think.
Definitely. He's definitely had his worldview changed a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho's. What else? Is there another thing? Oh, so Vulcan.
Vulcan?
So Vulcan dies a few times in this book and comes back.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting faster,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which was mentioned in Vulcan Lives.
Mm-hmm.
The time between resurrections is shortening.
Yes.
And then we get the Emperor's Spear, which we got from the previous book that Grammaticus
Fulgurant.
brought with him. Yep.
Yep.
And so Grammaticus is like, maybe if I stab... What is his plan? He's going to stab Vulcan, but instead of killing him, it will... What's his... I forget. What does he think... What does
So-
he, like, theorize is going to happen?
The plan that the Cabal has got him to do is to get the Fulgurite into another Primarch, because when the Fulgurite gets stabbed into Vulcan, it'll kill him stone dead. Right?
Right.
It'll cancel out his perpetuality. He'll just be another corpse like any other.
Right, because they want
They
Horus
to win. Yes.
and if Vulcan's alive, that puts a giant damper on those plans.
Yes, because they've prophesized that Vulcan is going to be a very stalwart defender of some gate somewhere at some point, right?
And the fact that he can't die makes him an extra stalwart defender of any place he decides to defend.
Right. So, Ulthran Ulthway is contacting John, and he's like, well, I gave you some information. You've got to let your brain unpack it. But he gets this idea that, like, well, if I just stab him, I can maybe transfer my perpetuality into his and give him his mind back? Or, like...
Is that what he wants to do? It just looks like restore him to sanity?
Yeah, he wants to do something. He wants to, like... Maybe that's why Vulcan's going crazy, is he can't control it, and, like, it's getting faster, but it's not healing. It's... I don't know. It's, like... it's not healing his mind. Like, his brain is coming back in clumps, where his body's coming back okay, right? And so he's like, okay, maybe if I transfer my control of perpetuality, then maybe it'll sort his out. It won't be getting faster. It won't be running out of muck, you know? Maybe that's
Just kind of clean him up a bit.
Yeah. It'll help him somehow, TM, right? Like,
yeah.
There's really... I don't really think there's... I don't think that we were told that it's like, this is going to do exactly this, and that's great because of this. I don't know that John Grammaticus gets that. Yeah.
No. He has theories. The Cabal has theories. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They have hopes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So Grammaticus ends up stabbing Vulcan through the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, even if a Primarch is kind of crazy and half dead and very distracted, I don't know if a human is fast enough to do that. But whatever, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we'll allow.
Vulcan seems to die, which he's done a lot,
He's done a lot.
but doesn't come back like immediately like he's been doing. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then Grammaticus dies too.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is like... because it keeps talking about how it draws the life force out of Grammaticus into Vulcan. So Grammaticus dying,
Okay.
I get that. How does doing that kill Vulcan?
Well, when you leave a spear in someone's chest, they tend to still die regardless of what life force is flowing into them.
Not Primarchs. It's not. You could stab a Primarch in the chest and they're fine.
Well, technically, it's not stabbing. Stabbing's when you put it in and then pull it out. Vulcan was impaled,
Paling.
and nobody could pull it out. That's a thing that they mentioned in the book, that nobody could pull the piece of fulgurite out of his heart.
Right.
So he's just like...
Did you say heart?
I think it's in his heart, yeah.
Because, like, he's got 2.
Does he?
They've all got 2.
Space Marines
Primarchs
have...
not have 2?
I don't know. Nobody knows what's in a Primarch's chest.
What the? What?
Space...
Why are they so interested in telling us how many organs Space Marines have? We don't know how many organs have. Every book is like, the second Space Marine's heart. Like, they always bring it up.
Space Marines have 2, because we can know and understand a Space Marine. There's loads of them. There's only a handful of Primarchs. We don't know what they've got going on under the skin.
Primarch biology.
They might have 2. They might. Off the top of my head, I do not remember, but they might have 2. Can't find anything?
I don't know. It's a discussion on it. There's not like a here. Oh, let's see what the Warhammer 40k wiki says. Control F heart. Nope, it's a figurative heart. Also another example of figurative heart. Fine. I don't know. We'll look it up later. It's besides the point. Vulcan gets impaled, dies, doesn't come back within the time people think he was going to come back if he was still resurrecting. He gets put in a coffin in his full battle regalia with his hammer. And then at the end of the book, there's like thumping coming from him, or like a heartbeat.
Right. He's
like a single heartbeat comes. The Space Marine guarding it is like, oh.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, because Vulcan lives, which is the saying as it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
So then Grammaticus ends up waking up. And he's like, yep, this is what I do. And they're like, this is the last one, bud. It's like, you really screwed up this time. You screwed up your perpetualness. If you die again, you're dead. And he's like, I have mixed feelings about this.
Yeah, I feel like telling him that was maybe a bad idea. Because, like, if John wakes up and goes, I'm still a perpetual. God, I'm still here doing this. The Cabal have me. I did their mission, but it didn't work. I'm still... He's not going to step into an airlock. But you tell him, you've got one life to live, buddy. It's yours. And he's like, I am so tired.
I'm going to step out an airlock. Now you have to watch him constantly so he doesn't kill himself. That is so much more work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Even if it's the truth, lie to the guy. Like, we brought you back like always. Here's your new mission, go. And he's like, but he'll do it. Now he's not going to do it.
Well, I guess he's still, like, trying to plan something out with Oleanus. And he's like, well, I gotta go deal with him, so maybe I'm gonna stay alive to try and, like, work on that outside the Cabal's knowing.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Seems tough, though. It's a big ask.
Big ask.
Dying's easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, did we miss anything else in the book?
There is one thing I want to touch on, which is Alexis Pollux, who is a Imperial Fist Marine that ends up becoming best friends with Dantioch.
Right.
Because the Fists and the Iron Warriors have a big rivalry, but are basically very, very similar in a lot of respects. So they have a bro down, but like he's mentioned as having only one arm, and instead of getting a mechanical replacement, they like fat grow him a spare and like surgically attach it, and it's like this raw, fleshy red hand thing. I just want to point out that is a reference to Alexis Pollux, who becomes the chapter master of the Crimson Fists, having a literal crimson fist.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic move.
That's all I wanted to say.
All right. I'm glad we noted that. That was important. Yeah. So I've almost finished Avenging Sun.
Almost.
I am like on page real quick. Page 432 of 467.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm further than that because I went back trying to find something.
Oh.
But basically, I think about the end of the book where Gilliman's talking with Fabian, who he
Fabian.
wants to be his historian.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure how much stuff is after that.
So Avenging Sun is a book we picked up in the currently available Warhammer book bundle on Humble Bundle, and
Yeah.
I read it a couple of weeks ago, so I just passed it along to Falcon to be like, maybe you'd enjoy this.
Yeah, so I tried to get through 2 books this week, and I almost made it.
Wow, almost made 2 books. Whew, catch up.
Almost. Tragically. But you know what I was thinking during Avenging Sun? I was like, this would make a good season of TV.
Oh yeah, it would. Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of the themes are... You can pretty much do this on television. Some of the characters are really interesting. The story's compelling. There's different places you're going.
You get
There's some great space battles and ground battles. And, like, you get this whole theme of, like, the Primaris Marines are here. And you're like... You can look at it from the perspective of the new Marines and the old ones who feel like they're being replaced. And, like, there's just a ton of stuff you can do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know they're working on a Warhammer TV show, and I hope they do this, because this is good for that.
I would really like that because, like, you get the Ultramarines as like the poster child. They're there, but you also have the Unnumbered Sons in general, which is all of the Space Marine chapters and legions. So you get to have a variety. You want to have a Space Wolf, even though it's predominantly a Ultramarine story with their Primarch. Go for it. You can have some Space Wolves do some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Having read the next couple of books, I'm like, this would make for great TV. I'm totally down with that. Yeah.
Plus you get the point of view of 2 characters in the depths of the Administratum on Terra. So you get the perspective of regular humans in this universe and how much it sucks for them. You get that whole aspect of it. Like, it just hits everything. You've got ship captains, you've got rogue traders, you've got, I mean, just the whole shebang in a pretty economical package. Like, it's pretty compact. It's a lot, obviously. I didn't get through the whole thing yet, but...
Right, yeah.
And it's interesting.
Yeah, you even get politicking just between the ship captains. Is it like, who gets to leave Terra first? Because that is an honor. There are, in another 2 centuries, who gets to, like, rule over this planet we found might be decided because my ships left Terra first, you know?
Right.
So you get a little...
And, like, it's so important that one of the fleet captains, there's an illness going through his ships. And, like, the true nature that it's a warp sickness is, like, kept. Even from, like, the High Lord of this fleet, because, you know, if
he doesn't want to miss
Gilliman
out.
finds out our fleet is warp fucked, he's not letting us go first, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the Primaris Marines show up, and this lady's like, oh, thank goodness some Space Marines are here. This has been really bad for a while.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just like, yeah, you get brand new baby Space Marines. Like, that's a pretty good way to bring an audience into this world. And I love the fact that primary Space Marines, they talk about, while they've been in stasis for thousands of years, they've just had battle simulations running in their brains nonstop.
Right. They've got some, like, hypnotherapy training going where it's like, okay, I have my bolter, I have 5 bolt rounds, and there's a horde of orcs coming. How many can I kill? Let's get a high score. And it's that over and over and over again until they get woken up.
It sounds horrendous.
Yeah.
But then you get the Primaris Marines in battle, and, like, they're doing stuff before they consciously think to do it. Like the Aorus, the one who we get the perspective about the most, he's like, it's close quarters, I gotta switch to my knife and my pistol. And then he's like, my hands already did that. It's like, oh, I'm already shooting someone cool. It's a little freaky. But they've just been so conditioned for it that they're just... yeah, they're just really, really, really effective. Whereas normal Space Marines, right? We've seen examples of this in the books, the books that I've read anyway, and obviously more books that you've read. Just people, and they embiggen them, and they right, and they
Right.
like change their physiology, but they don't spend 1,000 years running through battle drills before they get out there.
Not 1,000 years, but like Space Marines are still depicted as being incredible, impeccable shots. As like they can move so fast that regular humans are just like, I don't have time to shoot them before they get to me.
Right.
And they're still like colossal monsters of battle. But it's you
Totally.
don't you very rarely get like I'm a new Space Marine who's not used to their abilities yet, like who is has a mental disconnect between their new latent gigantism and the actions they want to perform. Right? You don't get a lot of I'm a fresh Space Marine. I just ripped the bulkhead off the spaceship I'm on because I didn't know how strong
Right.
I am. You don't get that. Most Space Marines you get have already like been in battle. They're in their little battle companies or their squads, and they're competent. They're perfectly competent as warriors. But either they're the hero of the story, or they're they're like the mook space marine who gets killed because you need to have conflict and stakes.
Right.
You don't
Right.
you don't get space marines working out what they are, which is what you get with a lot of these new Primaris in this book.
Yeah. I
They,
think the closest that I've seen is Zerahia. His name is
which book?
from the.
Emperor's Spears? Spears of the Emperor?
Uh,
Where they kit
no,
bash that guy up and make him a Primaris, and he's like, I feel taller.
no. Ooh, that's maybe the best example of it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he is using his strength without knowing what it is.
Yeah, and like he realizes his aim's off, and he's like, I don't get why I can't shoot anything. It's like, well, you've just grown a foot overnight.
Right. Or I don't know. You weren't awake for most of it. Who knows how long it was?
Yeah.
Right. Right. No, I'm thinking more of the Lions.
Oh, Zahariel and
Zahariel.
yeah, when they go
Yeah,
from
and
aspirants to Space Marines, but like
to Space Marines, and even then it skips time.
it
Even then it's like
it's
the Emperor showed up, and next time we see them, they're Space Marines.
yeah, and like they're not Space Marines in training. They're Space Marines who are like about to be deployed or have been deployed.
Right. Right, right. But even then, we get a little bit of a sense from Zahariel where he's like, I'm not quite 100% there with this body yet.
A little
But
bit,
it's not. But it's not nearly with the Primaris,
right?
where they're so new to this whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good book. It's a good book.
Anywho, yeah.
Ugh.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah. We've talked about this before, but the concept of adapting material for a different medium, you can't directly translate it. You can't just take Avenging Sun and just like word for word, scene for scene, put it on TV and it will work perfectly.
No, probably not.
But at the same time, I still feel like they are, a lot of the time, showrunners are more willing to go further than you need to change things. They feel like we need to change stuff. And I've heard it argued they don't want the people who are fans of the original thing just to know exactly what's going to happen every second of the story when it's on TV or in a movie. So like we want to switch it up for them.
Not a
But I
bad
don't
argument.
know. Like I think just do it. Just do the thing. Just tell the story exactly as it is. The people who love the thing will like seeing it in a different medium. And the vast majority of people who see it are not going to have read the book. Right? The vast majority of people who watch a new show on HBO or Paramount Plus or something have not read Avenging Sun.
Probably not.
So for them, it's all new stuff anyway. And if it's good enough to adapt, then it's good enough to tell as it is, I think.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
I feel like 40K, you're going to run into a problem, especially with this book, actually, is where do you start this book? Because there's a lot of stuff that gets mentioned here that isn't in this book, right? Like the demons that invade Terra during the Noctis Aeterna, Guilliman coming back to life, not really, like, specifically in this book. His Terran Crusade, going from Macragge to Terra, where he comes out on Luna and fights Magnus on the moon, right? Not in this book, right?
True.
Him actually, like, chatting with the Emperor, not in this book.
Right. It's flashbacked. It's mentioned secondhand from Messianus.
But yeah, like it's mentioned in the book, but it's like, why not tell that story first? And then it's like, okay, do we tell the story of how they got on the throne? Like, how much establishing do you need to do before you can tell the story? Because the books those are in are also very good. They're maybe not like
Yeah.
as easy to adapt as something like this, but like having that
I
knowledge would be useful for a lot of people, I think.
I think you can drop them in.
Yeah.
I think you can. It's not easy. I think you'd have to have a lot of skill to make sure that your storytelling, without lore dumping, right? Without somebody monologuing about what's been going on and what's happened in the last 50,000 years,
You know,
right?
I think for this you could get away with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There once was an emperor who sat on a chair and he didn't move for 10,000 years. You know.
Could do.
Yeah.
But I think it works. We get the perspective of the two human characters in the book. Well, no. The two ones that come from Terra and the Administratum.
Right.
And like we can just get from them that the Emperor is a godlike figure that everybody worships. No one's seen him. They pray to him.
It might it might actually be a really good thing to do it like that, because
Yeah.
you don't get the Emperor's point of view in a lot of things ever. So like don't tell those stories specifically, maybe. But
Right.
you know,
And I just think through that, you can do it. You can totally do it. You can, yeah. Just a conversation, just mentioning that Gulliman's back, and people are like, I don't even believe it. Like, we haven't seen, there have been Primarchs in our living memory, and one just appeared out of nowhere. What the crap? And then then we can go to Gilliman and show him. Right? It's just, this can flow. We can totally do this way. And I think the story is written in a way that assumes on some level that this is the first Warhammer book you've ever read.
yeah,
There's very little dropping of proper nouns that like is not explained at all,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's a good book. I reckon
Yeah.
I reckon they could totally do it as a TV show. I would be down for that.
Yeah, like a 10 episode TV
Band of
show,
Brothers kind of-
hour-long episodes. Yeah. There's just so many fun different groups. The Inquisitor with his little group of randos that he picks up every once in a while. He's got a Xenos with him. Picks up this random captain on a doomed planet because he turned in faced and fought a heretic space marine. Like, no, you're cool. You can hang with us.
You can hang with us.
Like, that's interesting, you know?
Yeah. Oh god, I'm just remembering when they're like, well, the planet's dying and we need to get off. So you three troopers get off the ship, and they're like, yep, yes, sir.
Right, for the Emperor, right?
For the Emperor, we'll go bye. And then they're just standing there as like hordes of enemies are descending on them.
Like, no chance.
Yeah.
No chance of surviving. They know it.
Ugh.
Yeah, and then like just another like TV moment is they basically demand a captain of a cruiser in the military come down into the atmosphere to pick them up.
Yes, because the ship won't make it.
Yeah. And the captain's like, well, this is really dangerous and this sucks, but an Inquisitor told me to, and I know what happens if I don't listen to Inquisitors.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I really love the scene where they're like, we're getting an encrypted communique from an Inquisitor. And like, oh, go get the Master of Vox. And it's like this old guy who's like, I'm the keeper of the de-encryption key. Here is my box. We need to plug this into a specific server. Oh shit, I left it over there. And then it's slowly walking over. And it's like, just de-encrypting this message takes them like an hour. And it's like, okay.
They don't even get the whole thing. They just like get the gist of it.
Yeah. Because they need, like, as an Imperial ship, like in the Navy, they need to have the codes for like the Inquisitors sending you a message. Here's how you decrypt it. But it never happens. So they're like, oh, we need someone to fill this role. We need the protocols to do this. But they don't have to be efficient, because this will only happen once in a millennia,
And oops, it happened in the middle of a giant space battle. Hate it when that happens.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's really fun. Yeah, and then they end up just being in the middle of like the rest of the major events of the story, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty great.
it's a good book.
It is good. I'll probably finish it here like tomorrow.
Excellent. Glad to hear
We'll
it.
talk about it a little bit more next week. Oh, but one thing from Unremembered Empire that I thought was funny. So Gilliman gets ambushed by random fucking
Alpha Legion.
Alpha Legion
Uh-huh.
pretending to be his buddies coming from Calth.
Yep.
And everybody fell down on the job on that one,
For everyone did, yes.
including Gilliman. Yeah.
Yep.
And then 2, he gets slashed across the throat, which on purpose, obviously, because it's like, you know how Gilliman got cut across the throat and died for 10,000 years? Isn't it interesting how he's getting slashed across the throat right now? And I'm like, we're on page like 30 of this book.
It's
We're
just
probably not killing Gilliman right now.
that's just fate playing out a step too soon, Falcon. That's not. It's not. They weren't trying to trick you.
It was trickery. It was 100% trickery.
Okay, so in that vein, I'm reading another set of Dan Abnett books called Gaunt's Ghosts. It is 40k based on like an Imperial Guard regiment. And I think there have been 3 books in this series where it's like, oh no, the commissar, like the commander, he's dead. The enemy took him and they killed him and he fell down a well and like he's gone. And they try very hard to convince you for like the next 60, 70, 100 pages that this guy's dead. And it's like, no, he's just over there. Or sometimes he's like, he's just over there and he's had his eyeballs scooped out, but he's just over there.
Yeah, look, falling down a well never killed anyone in the Warhammer universe, honestly.
But, so Dan does that a lot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he tries to be sneaky and tricky with the reader.
Yeah. Nobody's
funny.
thinking of Primarchs dying in the first 30 pages. It's not happening.
No. But part of me was kind of like, I do know there's a throat slash involved here. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
What are we reading next?
Right. I don't know. What is next?
Well, we can finish up with Pharos. That's this. It's the Pharos thing. Like it's
Sure.
It's
we'll finish the Pharos thing.
It'll tell us more about what the Pharos system is, or the Xenotech specifically. Interestingly enough, it looks like in the flowchart that we're using, Unremembered Empire flows into Pharos and Deathfire, and Deathfire is like the Salamander's book. So that's Vulcan heading off to do something else. Look,
Sure.
I have heard that all of the Salamander's books collectively are not great. They're all kind of written very similar-ish. And I'm happy, honestly, to skip them. I think you know who Vulcan is. He'll show up later, and I think he's much more interesting there. And I'm happy to skip Deathfire and Old Earth, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. So Pharos is an option. I just keep looking, and it's like, oh, there are still, like, we're slowly working our way down this flowchart, but there are still books that we should read at like the top of the flowchart, like Praetorian of Dawn and the Scars book.
White Scar stuff. Yeah, we don't have any White Scar stuff yet.
No, like there was a little bit of White Scars in this book. In Unremembered Empire, where they're like, oh, I'm a hunter, I recognize a hunter. He's drawing, all the chickens into the coop so we can go, all the sheep into the pen, and now he's going to go attack the chicken coop because game recognizes game. And like, that was a White Scar figuring that out. But you don't know what they're about, like, much yet.
No. Accurate.
I just keep looking, and I'm like, okay, I know that there's something we've got to read over this side of the thing. It's so much.
It's so much.
It's so much.
We've read so much, but it is also so much.
All right, Pharos, or do you want to go up? Back up the chain.
Let's go up.
You want to go up? So, okay, I'll give you the...
Go up eventually.
Yeah, I'll give you the choice. Scars or The Praetorian of Dawn.
The book's just called Scars.
Scars by Chris Raitt, if it's off the top of my head. But yes, it's just called Scars.
Again, these titles make them very hard to find on the library.
I'll tell you right now, I agree with Scars. Out of all of them so far, I can at least get behind you on Scars.
I'm not saying they're bad titles insofar as they don't describe what happens in the book, but they're so generic. It is impossible. How do you spell rate?
Wraight.
Chris Raitt.
Yes. Oh my god. I just looked at the Dramatis Personae and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Primarchs in this book apparently.
Holy Hannah.
I don't think, I'm hoping they're not like Master of Mankind where they're all sitting around a table talking, and judged by the allegiances, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Because it is difficult to write Primarchs as like point of view characters. Like they need to feel like they're demigods, but like that's hard to do if like you're actually just like hanging out with them with their mum, you know?
Oh. You're saying you didn't feel like Gilliman was a demigod in this book?
No, he feels very human. Like not, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but like I want them to sometimes feel a bit more than human, right? More and less, you know?
It's fair. I mean, you do get moments where, like, Gilliman is, like, talking to someone and listening to, like, 3 podcasts and reading 4 novels at the same time.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you get a little bit of that here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Okay, so we got her on Amazon.
Excellent.
Chris Raitt. All right, now I just got to figure out how to use my Amazon points to get this thing. I saw it last time, and I was like, oh, I'm not finding it this time. Whatever. I'll do it after we're done. All right. Okay, good stuff. Let's wrap this thing up then.
Okay.
We have a new book, and I'll finish Avenging Sun.
Excellent.
Cool. All right, cool. So that's going to be it from us. This has been Falcon Paladin and Salmon with another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour, doing the Warhammer segment, which was good and fun. We'll do some more next week. And if you want to read along with us, again, we're doing Scars by Chris Raitt. Yeah, so you can support the podcast directly at patreon.com/Somicron and by buying merch at falconpaladin.store. We do this live at twitch.tv/Somicron, and the VODs show up on youtube.com/@Somicron if you prefer the VOD form. So thanks again for the support, and thanks for watching and or listening, whatever you do, and we will catch you next time. So stay safe.